Hello folks, today you find me in a Kia Soul EV Maxx, which is probably best described as a small family SUV. Although because the styling with this car is fairly unique, it's difficult to really put it into any kind of box. So let's start off with that styling. When you first look at the car, particularly in this colour, it does make a certain character spring to mind. It's very funky looking though, it's very different. Using a straw poll of friends and neighbours that have seen the car over the last week, it seems to be largely positive. Most people say, I really like it. The blokes tend to say, I'd prefer it in a gunmetal grey. And I think I'd go along with that. I actually quite like the styling of the thing. I'd probably prefer it in a more sedate colour. I certainly wouldn't want it in this bright red colour, as striking as it is. And I can tell you something else, you don't lose it in a car park. Now, what's this car got going for it? It's got a really nice driving position. You're really high up, you've got great visibility, and it's just a really, really nice position. I did quite a long drive in this the other day. In fact, I've done a couple of long drives in it, because when I get an EV, I like to test out real life with an EV. And it really just soaked up the miles. I had no fatigue at all after sort of 2 hours of driving in this. And I think that's testament to this great driving position. Now this car's absolutely laden with tech, and it only comes with this one spec level. So although the sticker price on it might seem quite high at just under 35 grand, it comes with everything. You've got Apple CarPlay, you've got heated steering wheel, you've got heated seats, you've got adaptive cruise control, reversing camera, lovely huge high-res screen here, brilliant digital display here. It really is very, very well equipped. In terms of the actual drive of the car, around town it's an absolute delight. It can be a little bit fidgety at speed on the motorway, and especially in wind, it is a big square high-sided vehicle at the end of the day. But really and truly, I'm nitpicking. It's a very nice car to drive and very easy to live with. In terms of driver controls, for me it's got the perfect mix of touchscreen and real physical dials and buttons. So with things like your aircon and your heated seats and opening your glove box and all that kind of normal everyday stuff, there's absolutely no need to dive into the touchscreen. And you really only go to that to make sort of adjustments to general settings and things like that, which you do once in a blue moon really, once you've got used to a car. The inbuilt sat-nav's very good. It's basically the same system that we saw in the Genesis recently, and it's right across the Hyundai and Kia ranges. Very good system, very good screen, one of the better ones on the market, I would say. And you've got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. And on this huge screen here, I think it's 10.25 inches, on that screen, Apple CarPlay is just brilliant. So the maximum combined range in this car is claimed at 280 miles. And although I've found it impossible to get up to 280 miles of range, because at home I rely on a 3-pin plug charger, which is not the way to do these things. I should get a wall box installed, but it's a lot of money when you don't actually own an EV. So I've never had it up to the 280 miles of range. I think the highest I've had it's about 220 miles, and it seems really quite true to that. It's not one of those exaggerated claims that they can't back up. And the other day I did a 90-mile drive in it, and on departure I checked the claimed range. On arrival, I think it actually gone down by 95 miles. So it's that good. It's very, very close to the claimed range. Build quality is very good in Kias, and this one's no exception. Some of the plastics could be a bit better. So down here next to the cup holders, not the best plastic in the world, and just on certain areas of the door cards, you know, it's quite hard plastic, and you might expect a little bit better at this price point. But once again, I'm nitpicking, which you do have to do a bit in these car reviews. In the real world, I think most people will get in here and say, oh, this is nice, which most people have done since they've got into the car. The car is actually capable of a bit of speed as well. So 0 to 62 time in this is 7.9 seconds, which is very respectable for a little square car, isn't it? Very respectable indeed. So these 0 to 62 times are one thing, but in the real world, how often are you really tearing away from a set of traffic lights? So the way the car delivers the mid-range power is usually how you get to appreciate it. So there'll be those overtakes you do from 50 to 70 or from 60 to 70. So how quickly the car can do that and how easily the car can do that is how most people actually experience the power of the car on a day-to-day basis. This does that very well. Seats are really comfortable. They're not a sporty feel, but neither are they, you know, kind of lollopy. You're not sliding around in them every 5 minutes. So it's a quite nice leather or faux leather material. It feels like it'd be very hard wearing. Nice steering wheel. Under the hand, it's quite reminiscent of a sort of modern day VW group steering wheel, which is no bad thing. And plenty of steering wheel controls at your fingertips, and not too confusing. I think anyone could work it out within a couple of minutes. And for me, the only real disappointment with this car is the size of the boot and the fact that it doesn't have the front boot, the frunk. With these EVs, one of my sort of bugbears is having to store the cables, the charging cables, underneath the boot floor. So if you go and do your shopping and then are going on a bit of a trip and you realise you need to charge, your cables are underneath all that shopping. So out it all comes for you to get your cables out. If you've got the front boot, the frunk, you can just open that up and pull your cables out and leave your shopping well alone. So that's one thing. And the actual main boot is only 315 litres, which for a car of this size, because it's fairly generous inside, it's got a decent amount of space, for a car of its size, does let it down, I feel. I think some very minor styling tweaks could have actually given it probably another 50 litres of boot space without too much drama. A lot of people have commented on the alloy wheels on this car as well, how much they like them. I quite like them as well. You can see that they're serving some kind of aerodynamic purpose as well. They are quite nice to look at, and I've had quite a few compliments on those. Charging the car is really simple, by the way. You've got a CCS socket at the front of the car. Very simple, plug it to that, off you go. It comes with a CCS cable. It also comes with a 3-pin cable, which is very handy if, like me, you don't have a home charger. On a 100 kilowatt charger, this thing can go from 0 to 80% in 54 minutes. And on a 50 kilowatt charger, it can go from 0 to 80% in an hour and 15, which I don't think is too bad at all. So strangely enough, I feel like the biggest rival for this car actually comes from Kia, and it's probably the e-Niro. Now the e-Niro has a boot space of about 450 litres compared to the 315 in this. And I think the range on it's 282 as opposed to 280 in this. So if you're looking for what this offers, but you need a tiny bit more practicality, maybe the e-Niro is the one to look at. It's also a bit cheaper than this, although it has to be said, if you want an e-Niro that's got the level of equipment that this Soul EV Maxx has got, they're going to be more or less the same price. As always, I like to sum these cars up by how I feel about them going back. This one's going back in the morning. Am I pleased to see it go? Am I on the fence? Am I gutted that it's going? I'd say I'm quite sad to see it go, okay? Now, despite my Jason Statham with a shellfish allergy appearance, I'm nowhere near manly enough to pull off a car with this kind of styling in this colour. And I have to say, if it were in a different colour, I think I'd have a bit more affection towards it. But I've lived with this car for a week. I've used it a lot. I really have well used it. And I must admit, I've loved every minute of driving it. At no point has the car felt sort of limited to me in any way. Where it would is if we were going on a family holiday. If you want a very funky looking car that can accommodate 4 adults in absolute comfort and 5 with slightly less comfort, that you can chuck a couple of weekend bags into the back of, and you want to stand out from the crowd slightly, this is the car to do it. I can see the styling will be a bit Marmite for some people, but it's doing something different, and I always love that. I hate cars that look like a clone of something else, and you can certainly not accuse this of that. I guess the closest thing that's been around in terms of styling to one of these would be the Nissan Cube, which was only ever an import car here to the best of my knowledge. But it's spacious, it's comfortable, it's got a good EV range, it drives really nicely, it's very generously equipped. It's definitely one to think about. Guys, if you've enjoyed any part of this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. I have lots of car reviews on the channel and more to come, and every Sunday morning at 8:30 I release the latest UK car news video. I've got my car leasing content, my used car content. Hopefully there's something there for everyone. So click the subscribe, hit the notification bell, and don't miss out. Thanks ever so much for watching. See you next time.